with communism, because they couldn't put a person on the moon, and capitalism could.
We did an interview a couple of weeks ago with a woman called Casey Means. She's a Stanford-educated surgeon and really one of the most remarkable people I have ever met. In the interview, she explained how the food that we eat, produced by huge food companies, Big Food, in conjunction with pharma, is destroying our health, making this a weak and sick country. The levels of chronic disease are beyond belief. What Casey Means, who we've not stopped thinking about ever since, is the co-founder of a healthcare technology company called Levels, and we are proud to announce today that we are partnering with Levels. And by proud, I mean sincerely proud. Levels is a really interesting company and a great product. It gives you insight into what's going on inside your body, your metabolic health. It helps you understand how the food that you're eating, the things that you're doing every single day, are affecting your body in real time. You put stuff in your mouth, speaking for myself anyway, and you don't think about it. You have no idea what you're putting in your mouth, and you have no idea what it's doing to your body. But over time, you feel weak and tired and spacey, and over an even longer period of time, you can get really sick. So it's worth knowing what the food you eat is doing to you. The Levels app works with something called a continuous glucose monitor, a CGM. You can get one as part of the plan, or you can bring your own. It doesn't matter. But the bottom line is, big tech, big pharma, and big food combine together to form an incredibly malevolent force, pumping you full of garbage, unhealthy food with artificial sugars, and hurting you and hurting the entire country. So with Levels, you'll be able to see immediately what all this is doing to you. You get access to real-time personalized data, and that's a critical step to changing your behavior. Those of us who like Oreos can tell you firsthand. This isn't talking to your doctor at an annual physical, looking backwards about things you did in the past. This is up to the second information on how your body is responding to different foods and activities, the things that give you stress, your sleep, et cetera, et cetera. It's easy to use. It gives you powerful, personalized health data, and then you can make much better choices about how you feel. And over time, it'll have a huge effect. Right now, you can get an additional 2 free months when you go to levels.link/Tucker. That's levels.link/Tucker. This is the beginning of what we hope will be a long and happy partnership with Levels and Dr. Casey Means.
Do you believe there's a power higher than people?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot we don't know. We don't know, why does reality exist? Where did it come from? Where are the aliens? What questions should we ask that we don't even know to ask? So,
when you say what are the aliens,
where are the aliens?
Oh.
Like, why don't we see them? A lot of people think we see aliens, but I've not seen any evidence of aliens. We've got 6,000 satellites in orbit, and not once have we had to maneuver around an alien spacecraft.
Right. But on this Earth, the U.S. military has had to do a lot of maneuvering around objects they can't explain.
Well, unidentified flying objects is one thing, but there's always a bunch of classified programs that are underway of new aircraft and new missiles and things. So that are classified even within the military. So it's only if you have the top secret compartmented clearance would you know about this new program. So then some pilot sees something moving fast and says, "Hey, I saw a UFO." I'm like, "Yeah, that was actually a new weapons program, but we can't tell you that." But if you can guarantee that the split second I see any evidence of aliens, I will immediately post that on the X platform. And it'll probably be our #1 post of all time.
That'll be your biggest day,
yes.
For sure.
But
to the question of a power beyond people, beyond our consciousness, a creator, where are you on that?
Well, we must have come from somewhere. So I guess there must be some creator or creative force or something that caused our existence to come into being. What is the nature of that creator? That I think is unknown. At least I think it is. There's. I don't know of a definitive answer to that.
But it sounds like you're open.
Yes, I'm very open to, I'm driven by curiosity.
Yes.
And I'm trying to understand more about the nature of the universe. So my driving philosophy is to understand the meaning of life, or really what questions to ask if the meaning of life is not the right question. Like as Douglas Adams made the point in The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy that what is the meaning of life is probably not even the right question. Famously, in that book, the Earth was actually a computer to figure out answer the question, what is the meaning of life? And then it came up with the answer 42. But then they're like, what does that mean? And it's like, oh, that's the answer, but the question is the really hard part, and you'll need a much bigger computer than Earth to figure that one out. So my philosophy is that we should try to expand the scope and scale of consciousness. We should try to have more humans, more thinking, and perhaps there's an argument even for machine consciousness.
So let me just address those in order. So the first is, you say we need more people and not commit civilizational suicide. It does seem like the U.S. government, if you take 3 steps back, is pretty committed to making fewer Americans.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of anti-fertility propaganda.
A lot.
Actually, that seems like their main sort of domestic social policy is convincing you not to have kids. What is that?
That's certainly part of civilizational suicide. The environmental movement in the extreme is fundamentally misanthropic and anti-human.
Yes.
They start seeing humans as a plague, a blight on the surface of the earth. That if that earth would be this paradise if only the humans weren't here. And some people actually say this explicitly. There's the Extinctionist Society that is literally this guy who's the head of the Extinctionist Society was on the front page of the New York Times, quoted as saying, there are 8 billion people in the world, it would be better if there were none. So there's some people who actually say that explicitly, which is completely insane. He's advocating a Holocaust for all of humanity. To utter madness, he should be condemned for such a statement, but he wasn't for some reason. Now most people on the sort of environmental movement have that implicitly. They don't realize that they have that as their optimization, but that is their actions take us towards extinction. A lot of people believe that the Earth can't sustain this level of human population, which is utterly untrue. It may seem in a crowded city that there are a lot of people, but actually, if you look down on an airplane and you say, look down, am I over a person at any given point in time when you're on an airplane? The answer is 99.9% of the time, no. Like if you flew from LA to New York and say your job is to drop a ball on someone and hit them, you would fail.
You have to drop a lot of balls.
You have to drop a lot of balls. It would be insane. So all of the humans on Earth can fit on one floor in the city of New York. Yeah, the cross-sectional area of all humans, 8 billion humans, is small. So we have this totally wrong idea that the Earth is overpopulated, where in fact it is underpopulated.
Have you ever heard a politician say anything like that? Are there, how many
there's maybe a few
pro-human politicians out there?
Yeah, like Viktor Orban, Giorgia Meloni.
Yes.
We're starting to see pro-natalist politicians, and hopefully more as time goes by. I think there's a guy that just got elected in the Czech Republic who's also pro-natalist. Now these have to translate into actual actions that change the birth rate, or it doesn't matter. And so far, I've not seen any country make a meaningful dent in the birth rate.
What would you do if you were in charge of natalist policy?
First of all, I'd change the education system so that people understand that stop being taught that we're overpopulated. This is completely false. A lot of it comes from this insane misanthropic book that Paul Ehrlich wrote, The Population Bomb.
Like 60 years ago.
Yeah, I hope he burns in hell, that guy. Seriously. Terrible human being. Total, absolute misanthrope. And say, just look, the Earth can absolutely sustain this population. We could double or triple the population. There's a professor I was talking to at Oxford, his math says we could 10x the population without destroying the Amazon rainforest or anything terrible. So, so I think we should expand the human population and increase the scope and scale of consciousness so we can better understand the nature of this universe, this wonderful universe, and all the amazing things that exist. And so that's one of the things we need to stop teaching people false propaganda that the Earth is overpopulated. I think we need to, especially with the education of women and men, we need to stop scaring women that having a kid destroys your life. This is false. We terrify girls into saying that if you get pregnant, your life's over. And this is what schools teach. Now I agree we should not have teenage pregnancies.
Yeah.
But actually having a child is one of the most delightful, happiness-inducing things you could possibly do.
Of course.
Of course. There's also with hormonal birth control, I think maybe a lot of women are unaware that hormonal birth control causes depression and dramatically increases risk of suicide and changes their preferences on who they want to marry or have kids with. It changes their personality. And it does say this on the box, by the way. But
caution may change your personality.
Yes, if the warnings are has significant risk of depression, significant increase in suicide, and will make you want to go out with people that you don't actually like. That's actually true, by the way.
I know.
I'm not saying that people shouldn't use birth control. I think we shouldn't use. I think hormonal birth control is making a lot of women sad and depressed.
Yes.
And they don't realize it, and they don't realize that's the cause. And that there are other forms of contraception that could be used, and that they should just read the label on the box is what I'm saying.
That was what you just said.
Read the warning label.
That was like the most taboo thing you could ever say for most of my life, was to offer any criticism at all of hormonal birth control.
Look, all I'm saying is read the warning label.
Yeah,
okay.
Fair. But why the pressure not to read the warning label, and just why are we giving it to 12-year-olds to regulate their acne?
Right. I think we should give it to 12-year-olds. We should, kids, they don't know what's going on, so it's like. Now, there are, I think there are other forms of birth control that I think have fewer negative effects than hormonal, but we should just be aware that this is not a riskless thing, and it does cause severe mood changes. It does dramatically increase risk of suicide and depression. So just FYI, just make sure that there's full disclosure here, and
that you want all those things.
Just read the warning label is all I'm saying. Just read, and consider maybe other options for birth control. To any woman listening, just read the warning label and consider other options. Because the reason you're sad might be the birth control the hormonal birth control that is fundamentally changing the hormones in your body in ways that probably are not good for you. And I know women where they stopped taking birth control and their depression immediately disappeared. So that's maybe worth a try.
But then you
If you're
miss
feeling
an
sad,
opportunity.
maybe it's the birth control.
Then you don't
Might
get
be.
to go on SSRIs.
Yeah. And I think the SSRIs are the devil. What? You don't think?
I so vehemently agree with you.
Okay.
But I guess once you endorse Trump, you can just say it all now, right?
No, I think selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors are zombify people, and change their personality and make them not who they are. Terrible.
They're so common.
Yes. I think we should revisit whether this is actually good. I disagree with you. The SSRIs are, like, I'm not saying that no one should ever be subscribed SSRIs, but giving them out like candy is crazy. You look at at sort of antidepressant prescriptions in the United States versus other countries, and we're like way above everyone else.
Oh yeah. I have seen many, many times in my life in the news business after a mass shooting, like school, for example.
Yeah.
Someone will say, "Well, what meds was the shooter on?"
Oh, yeah,
And
exactly.
immediately be shouted down as a crazy person, as a, Bobby Kennedy level wacko.
Yes.
Who should himself be institutionalized for even raising the question. I always wonder, why wouldn't we want to know what meds a mass
Yes, we
shooter
absolutely
was
want to know what meds they're on. Now sometimes it's perhaps they were on, because they're like some people do. I don't want to say it's like all one way or all the other.
Of course.
I mean, there are people that have fundamental chemical imbalances in their brain, and if they don't take medication to control, for example, paranoid schizophrenia, they will have paranoid schizophrenia.
For sure.
And I know many cases where people stop taking their, meds, and lost their mind.
Oh yeah.
And then try to kill people and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So or themselves.
Well, the guy with the axe on Market Street probably should be on meds.
That guy we should try it.
Yeah.
It does he want to axe murder more or less on a given med? So there are psychiatric medications that where the good outweighs the bad.
Yes.
I'm not saying that doesn't exist, but we overprescribe psychiatric medication in the United States, obviously, far in excess of any other country. Like way more than Canada or Britain or Japan or anywhere. It's like we're off the charts on psychiatric medication prescriptions in the U.S.
Why don't people raise that point more often, I wonder, in public?
They should. I'm raising it.
Yeah, you are. You said that artificial intelligence, machine intelligence, might be a good thing. Where are we on AI right now, AGI right now, and what are your views?
Well, I think at this point it's obvious to everyone that AI is advancing at a very rapid pace.
Yes.
You can see it with the new capabilities that come out every month or every week sometimes. AI at this point can write a better essay than probably 90%, maybe 95% of all humans. Say write an essay on any given subject. AI right now can beat the vast majority of humans. If you say draw an image, draw a picture, it can draw if you try to say Midjourney, which is the aesthetics of Midjourney are incredible. It will create incredible images that are better than, again, like 90% of artists. It's just objectively the case. And it'll do it immediately, like 30 seconds later. We're also starting to see AI movies. So you start seeing short films with AI, AI music creation, And the rate at which we're increasing AI compute is exponential, hyper exponential. So there's dramatically more AI compute coming online every month. There seems to be roughly, I don't know, the amount of AI compute coming online is increasing at quote, roughly 500% a year, and that's likely to continue for several years. And then the sophistication of the AI algorithms is also improving. So we're bringing online a massive amount of AI compute, and also improving the efficiency of the compute and what the AI software can do. So it's quantitative and qualitative in improvement. I think next year you'll be able to ask AI. So certainly by the end of next year, make a short movie about something, or probably can do at least a 15-minute, show or something like that. So yeah, it's advancing very rapidly. My top concern for AI safety is that we need to have a maximally truth-seeking AI. This is the most important thing for AI safety, in my opinion. The central lesson that, say, Arthur C. Clarke was trying to convey in 2001: A Space Odyssey was that you shouldn't force AI to lie. So in that book, the AI was told to take the astronauts to the monolith, but they also could not know about the monolith. It resolved that quandary by killing them and taking them to the monolith, or didn't kill all of them, but killed most of them. That's why hell would not open the pod bay doors.
Right.
Very important to have truth-seeking AIs. Now, and what I actually see with the AIs that are being developed is that they're being programmed with the woke mind virus.
So the lying is baked in.
Yes. And we saw this on display very clearly with the release of Google Gemini.
Yes.
Where you would ask for a picture of the founding fathers of the United States, and it would show a group of diverse women, dressed with sort of 18th century garb.
Powdered wigs.
Yeah.
But from St. Lucia.
Yeah, I mean, look, I understand if you say, show me a group of people.
For sure.
And it shows a group of diverse women, that's totally fine. But if you say this very specifically, the founding fathers of the United States, which were, a group of white dudes, then you should show them, and what they actually look like, because you've asked for something which is a fact from history. But it didn't. It was programmed with the woke mind virus so much that it actually, even though it knew the truth, it produced a lie. Now, of course, then people really started playing with it and said, okay, now show me a group of Waffen-SS officers in World War II. Turns out they were also a group of diverse women, according to Gemini.
All the black Nazi ladies.
Yeah, it's like wow. I didn't realize that. It's not what I expected. Well,
it's also not what happened.
It's not what happened. So it's just the AI is producing a lie, and then like one of the questions that people asked was which is worse, global thermonuclear war or misgendering Caitlyn Jenner, and said misgendering Caitlyn Jenner is worse. Now, Caitlyn Jenner
kills fewer people.
Yeah, Caitlyn Jenner, to her credit, said, no, please misgender me. That is far more preferable than global thermonuclear war where we all die. But to have that, a production release AI say stuff like that is concerning, because if let's say this becomes all powerful, and it still has this programming where misgendering is worse than nuclear war. Well, it could conclude that the way to ensure that there can never be any misgendering is to eliminate all humans. Now, if like optimization is probability of misgendering is 0, no humans, no misgendering. Problem solved.
Now we're back to Arthur C. Clarke, who's
exactly
pretty prescient.
Yes. So that's why I think the most important thing is to have a maximally truth-seeking AI. That's why I started XAI, and that's our goal with Grok. Now, people will point out cases where Grok gets it wrong, but we try to correct it as quickly as possible.
But maybe even a bigger problem is that when you make decisions that affect people, you want those decisions to be informed by love of people.
Yeah.
And machines are incapable of love.
Yeah. I mean, they certainly are they're capable of, you can program a machine to be philanthropic rather than misanthropic.
Yes. But don't instincts shape decisions, particularly decisions you can't plan for? I mean, if I ask you, a question about one of your children, every answer you give is going to be shaped by your love for that child, and that's why, that's what makes us decent parents in the end, is that instinct, which is love. And if a machine has any power over us without that animating instinct, won't it by definition hurt us?
Yeah, well, whether I don't know. We should certainly aspire to program the AI philanthropically, not misanthropically.
Yes.
And to have, like I said, we want it to be truthful and curious, and to foster humanity into the future. Yeah, that's what we want, obviously.
Is there any way, I guess, to set limits on the decisions that machines can make that affect human lives, and make certain that there's some trigger in the system that inserts a human being into the decision-making process?
Well, the reality of what's happening, whether one likes it or not, is that we're building super intelligent AIs, hyper intelligent, like intelligent, more intelligent than we can comprehend.
Yes.
So I would liken this to, like, let's say you have a child that is a super genius child, that it's going to be much smarter than you. Then, well, what can you do? You can instill good values in how you raise that child.
Yes.
So even though it's going to be far smarter than you, you can make sure it's got good values, philanthropic values, good morals, honest, productive, that kind of thing. Controlling, at the end of the day, I don't think we'll be able to control it. So I think the best we can do is make sure it grows up well.
You've been saying that for a long time.
Yes, I've been saying it for a long time.
Yes. Are you still as worried about it as you seemed to be 2 years ago when I asked you about it?
Well, I think that, like, my guess is, like, it's 80% likely to be good, maybe 90. So you could think of the glass as 80% full. It's probably going to be great. There's some chance of annihilation.
And you'd say the chance of annihilation is 20%?
10 to 20%, something like that.
How concerned is Sam Altman about annihilation, do you think?
I think in reality he's not concerned about it. I don't trust OpenAI. I mean, I started that company as a non-profit open source.
Yes.
The open in OpenAI, I named the company.
Yeah.
OpenAI as an open source, and it is now extremely closed source, and maximizing profit. So
does risking?
I don't understand how you actually go from being an open source nonprofit to a closed source for maximum profit organization. I'm missing.
Well, but Sam Altman got rich, though, didn't he?
At various points, he's claimed not to be getting rich, but he's claimed many things that were false. And now apparently he's going to get $10 billion of stock or something like that. So I don't trust Sam Altman, and I don't think we want to have the most powerful AI in the world controlled by someone who is not trustworthy. And sorry, I just don't. I mean,
but that seems like a fair concern.
Yeah.
But you don't think, as someone who knows him and has dealt with him, that he is worried about the possibility this could get out of control and hurt people?
He will say those words.
Yeah.
But no.
If if it became clear to the rest of us that it was out of control and posed a threat to humanity, would there be any way to stop it?
I hope so. I mean, if you have multiple AIs, and ones that are, hopefully you have the AIs that are pro-human be stronger than the AIs that are not.
Battle of the AIs?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that is how it is with, say, chess these days. The AI chess programs also are vastly better than any human, incomprehensibly better. Meaning, like, we can't even understand why it made that move.
Right. Why they're so good, right? Yeah.
We don't even know why it made it. It'll make a move. We don't even know why it made the move. And in fact, some of the moves will seem like blunders, but then turn out to checkmate. And for a while, there was some the best human chess players with the best computers could beat just a computer, and then it got to the point where if you added a human, it just made everything worse. And then it was just AI. It's just computer programs versus computer programs. That's where things are headed in general. Sweet dreams.
At what point?
So I don't know. I think we just got to make sure we instill good values in the AI.
What's everyone going to do for a living?
I mean, in a benign AI scenario, that is probably the biggest challenge. Is how do you find meaning if AI is better than you at everything?
Yeah.
That's the benign scenario.
That's the good news?
Well, yeah, but I guess, for a lot of people like the idea of retiring, and,
Really, are you looking forward to it?
No, not me. I'd like to hope. I'd like to think that I'd like to do useful things.
Don't you think it's a universal desire?
It's not universal. In that there are certainly, I know many people who prefer to be retired. That they prefer to sort of not have responsibilities and engage in leisure activities. So, I mean, we're on the cusp of this. It's really a remarkable time to exist. Well, I'll tell you, like, one of the ways I sort of was able to sort of sleep and reconcile myself to this is that I thought, well, would I prefer to be alive and see the advent of digital superintelligence, or would I prefer to be alive at a different time and not see it? And I guess I'm like, well, I guess I'd prefer to be alive to see if it's going to happen. I prefer to be alive to see it happen out
Yes.
of curiosity. And then I was like, well, let's say you knew for sure it would kill everyone. Would you? But you could now you can shift back in time. Like I guess I'd want to be near the end of my life or something before that happened. But I would, at the end of the day, it's like if it's going to happen, and there's nothing you do about it, hypothetically, would you prefer to see it or not see it? And I guess if it's going to happen, I would prefer to see it rather than not see it. Yeah.
But as a man of action, why not convince Trump to make you Secretary of Defense and then just nuke AI?
I think I would certainly push for having some kind of regulatory body that at least has insight into what these companies are doing, and can ring the alarm bell, even if we don't have a regulation or rule. So I'm not someone who wants to get rid of all regulatory agencies or anything. I think there's the right number of regulations, right number of regulators,
yeah.
and we've gone too far. Just like if you in a football game, if you had too many referees on the field, it would be weird. Like you can't throw the pass because you hit a referee.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Then there's too many referees. But if you like to say, look at any pro sports game, they all have referees. Like the teams could decide we're going to not have referees. That could be a thing. But every sports game they have refs to make sure that the rules are followed, and it's a better game if you have.
That's why we have cops too.
Yeah, exactly. Cops are the referees. So I think for something that is a danger to the public or potential danger to the public, we have referees, we have regulators, So like the FDA and the FAA and these various regulatory agencies, they were established because aircraft were falling out of the sky, and some manufacturers were not, building high quality aircraft. They're cutting corners, and then people die. For food and drugs, that some manufacturers were making low quality drugs, and so they're lying to people, so saying that something cured them when it killed them. So you have FDA to, regulators to referees to try to make sure that there's drug manufacturers are truthful. Now, I do think it mostly works. I mean, I think doesn't mean we don't need regulatory reform. We do, but I don't think we should have no regulators in AI, given that it's potential existential risk.
It's a little weird that everything is regulated.
Yeah.
I mean, you said you're being sued by the Department of Justice for not hiring more asylum seekers for your high-tech company.
Yeah, even though it's illegal for us to hire asylum seekers.
Right. So, so they're watching everything, regulating everything, controlling everything, including our thoughts. Right. That's why they're opposed to free speech. But they're not meaningfully regulating AI, which will eliminate the purpose for most people's lives and could kill us all. It's a little weird.
Yeah, I think we should have some.
But why don't we? I guess
something above nothing.
Right. In that range.
Yeah.
But why don't we?
I don't know. I all the way back, during the Obama presidency, I met with Obama many times, but usually in group settings. The one-on-one meeting I had with Obama in the Oval Office, I said, look, the one thing that we really need to do is set up at the beginnings of an AI regulatory agency, and it can start with insight, where you don't just come shooting from the hip, throwing out regulations. You just start with insight, where the AI regulatory committee simply goes in to understand what all the companies are doing, insight, and then proposes rules that all the AI companies agree to follow, just like sports teams in the NFL. You have proposed rules for football that everyone agrees to follow, that make the game better. So that's the way to do it. but nothing came of it.
What did he say when you said that to him?
I mean, he seemed to like kind of agree, but also people didn't realize where AI was headed at that time. You know, so AI seemed like some super futuristic
for
thing,
sure,
sci-fi basically. So like I'm telling you, this is going to be smarter than the smartest human, and my predictions are coming absolutely true, and so we need to have some insight here, just to make sure that these companies aren't cutting corners, doing dangerous things. But Google kind of controlled the White House at that time, and they did not want any regulatory.
Well, that's it. I mean, you never see politicians turn down opportunities to become more powerful, which is the point of regulation. It makes them more powerful.
Yeah.
So it sounds like regulatory capture then.
Well, yeah. I mean, the CIO of the White House at the time was ex-Google person, so they put the brakes on any AI regulation. And we still don't have any AI regulation at the federal level.
It's amazing.
So I think we should have something above nothing. Like I said, at least insight. Where even if there's no rule that's being broken, they can at least say, hey, we have insight into what this company is doing, or that company is doing, and we're concerned. That would be helpful to know.
Yeah. Instead, politically motivated liars are in charge of the future. It seems a little sketchy. Last question, you really kind of pulled out a lot of stops to help Trump. You were on stage yesterday. If he gets elected, will you continue to help him?
Yeah,
and how?
Absolutely. So we've talked about kind of a government efficiency commission, or the Department of Government Efficiency, which is a funny...
What percent? Sorry, I'm just laughing. I love it. You managed to make it sound a little sinister. Government efficiency. What percentage of Google employees did you can when you got there?
You mean Twitter?
Rather. I beg your pardon. Sorry, you just been talking about Google. Twitter.
Yeah. Well, we're about 80%, and we've actually improved the features and functionality of the site more in the past year and a half than the last, 8 years, with 20% of the staff. So
I just want to throw that out for context. So you've talked to Trump about some kind of commission?
Which he's mentioned publicly several times, and he's very supportive of having some kind of, government efficiency commission. You can call it Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE. I kind of like DOGE. It's more fun. And we just take a look at all the federal agencies and say, do we really need whatever it is, 428 federal agencies? Like, if there's so many that people have never even heard of, and that have overlapping areas of responsibility, we should, there are more federal agencies than there are years since the establishment of the United States, which means that we've created more than one federal agency per year on average. That seems a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. So we should have, that seems crazy. I think we should be able to get away with 99 agencies. I don't know. That seems like a lot of agencies.
It's a lot. Yeah. 2 per state. That's a lot.
Yeah, exactly. We should have fewer agencies, and they certainly shouldn't have overlapping responsibilities. And then we need some kind of, we just need a review of regulations to say which ones are sensible and which ones are not. Because if you've got regulators, every year they're going to add more regulations, just automatic. Like they just output regulations. And there's more laws and regulations every year until basically everything's legal, so we can't get anything done. So we need some kind of garbage collection for regulations that don't make sense. I think I'm saying very obvious things.
You are saying obvious things.
Yeah. So
which will be very unpopular things.
Yeah. I'll probably need, if this happens, quite a significant security team. So that, because someone might literally